Exposed, how my parents stole $340,000 from me at 35, the unexpected moment that changed everything. Caitlin Evans stared at the framed certificates lining her office wall, a storm of confusion and sorrow swirling within her. Here she was, a dedicated biology professor, committed to shaping young minds in the humble community college of Prescott, Arizona. Yet, beneath her calm, a quiet devastation festered. The dream of opening a nonprofit to inspire kids in science was slipping away like sand through her fingers. Her father had always said family comes first. The words echoed in her head as she poured every bit of her savings, $340,000 saved painstakingly for her dream, into her father's treatment. It felt right, noble even, honoring the sacrifices that her parents had made for her. Her heart raced with pride one moment and plummeted into fear the next. Would it all have been for nothing? Each day blended into the next, filled with doctor visits, medications, and frantic discussions of finances that left her feeling trapped. Now, winter loomed ominously, bringing with it a bitter revelation. Caitlin discovered that her parents had taken out a loan in her name, one she never consented to, leaving her financially crippled. The betrayal knotted deep within her, shredding the very fabric of her understanding of loyalty. How had they crossed that line? Anxiety gripped her tighter each day. She wore an easy smile in class while preoccupied with how to make ends meet, feeling like a stranger in her own life. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Caitlin maneuvered through her responsibilities, she found herself wrestling with inner demons. She loved her parents, yet their actions had left her adrift, her dreams deferred in the icy grip of betrayal. The haunting thought of how she would confront them simmered beneath her professional facade. Would it deter the family connection she held sacred? Or would she find the strength to stand her ground? One evening, seeking solace from chaos, Caitlin visited a local art show, a gamble to pull her thoughts from the wreckage that was her life. She stumbled upon an elderly artist who spotted the distress in her eyes. "You paint with words, dear," he said, inviting her to explore her thoughts in color. Something deep inside her sparked as she dipped her brush onto a vibrant canvas for the first time, releasing suppressed emotions through each stroke. The hidden talent she never knew existed flourished with fervor. Yet, the shadow of her parents' betrayal loomed large. With each brushstroke, more layers of her emotional turmoil and resentment peeled away, revealing vulnerabilities raw and exposed. What would happen when she stood before her parents? What if their love, tainted by deceit, erased all they had built together? As she prepared for a confrontation looming dangerously close, Caitlin felt caught between love and justice, her heart at war. Steeling herself for the return home, she understood the stakes. Reclaiming her identity and future came at a price. Standing at the threshold, deep breaths filled with the scent of old wood and memories, she hesitated. Could confronting them shatter the delicate ties that bound her to her family? The door swung open as her resolve crumbled, uncertainty swirling around her like the chill of an approaching storm, leaving Caitlin at the precipice where love and betrayal intertwined, poised to redefine everything she thought she knew. Caitlin stood in the cramped living room, her heart thundering in her chest. The familiar scent of her mother's lavender candles mixed with the musty air seemed suffocating. Each artifact of her childhood loomed large, a reminder of love turned sour. As she took in the sight of her parents, who sat expectantly on the faded sofa, Caitlin felt that familiar sense of unease wash over her like an unwelcome tide. "You look tense," her mother said, a hint of concern etched in her features. The benign tone contrasted starkly with the emotional turmoil roiling within Caitlin. How could she explain the depths of her betrayal? Instead, she forced a smile, masking the raging storm inside her. The conversation meandered through mundane topics, but Caitlin's mind was elsewhere, each passing minute ticking down to the moment she would confront them. Memories of her sacrifices flashed through her mind, intertwining with the bitter knowledge of their betrayal. The weight of the loan they had taken out in her name bore down on her shoulders like an anchor, dragging her into an abyss of confusion and anger. Finally, taking a deep breath, she steeled herself. "Mom, Dad," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "there's something we need to discuss." The casual chatter faded, replaced by a palpable silence that filled the room. "Is something wrong?" her father asked, worry creasing his brow. "Everything is wrong," she said, the words spilling forth. "I found out about the loan. You took money in my name without telling me." Each word was laced with both accusation and sorrow. Her mother's face blanched, while her father's expression hardened. "Caitlin, we didn't have a choice," he stammered, defensiveness creeping into his voice. "You know how serious my medical issues were. It was an emergency." "Emergency," Caitlin echoed, incredulous. "An emergency that left me with a debt I never agreed to." "What about my dreams?" The anguish in her voice pierced the air, her pent-up frustrations transforming into a fierce determination. Her father shifted uncomfortably. "We did it for family. You would have done the same for us." "Would I?" Caitlin challenged, her voice rising. "You went behind my back. You betrayed my trust. I thought family meant honesty." The denial that she had held at bay shattered as anger surged forth. In that moment, she didn't just confront her parents, she confronted herself. The scales of loyalty tilted, revealing the harsh reality. She realized that holding on to a definition of family rooted in blind loyalty was damaging her more than their betrayal. As discussions continued, Caitlin grew aware of not just the fractures in her familial bonds, but the ones within herself. The brushstrokes of betrayal became a poignant metaphor. She could paint her narrative anew, yet it required confrontation and vulnerabilities laid bare. No longer would she hide her artistry behind fear, she could transform her pain into something valid and powerful. That night, after a turbulent conversation that left everyone shaken, Caitlin retreated to her studio, the canvas her refuge. As her brush glided over the surface, she infused it with the fiery emotions she had unleashed. Each stroke was a declaration of independence, each hue a promise for renewal. But doubts began to creep in. Had she truly severed ties, or was this the start of an evolution within her familial relationship? Could she reclaim her dreams while navigating this fresh territory of pain and complexity? In her heart, a glimmer of hope flickered alongside her anger. What if confronting the truth meant not just rebuilding her own identity but redefining a new kind of connection with her parents? With the real work of healing ahead of her, one burning question remained: would they be willing to meet her on this new path for the sake of the love that once held them together, or was the chasm between them too vast to bridge? Caitlin's journey was just beginning, and as she prepared to face both her fears and her parents' responses, determination welled up within her. The challenge to redefine herself and her relationships loomed larger with every stroke, and deep down, she knew there was more to unravel. Caitlin stood before the canvas, the dim light of her studio illuminating the vibrant colors splattered across its surface. Each hue reflected not only her pain but the new resolve that had ignited within her. The brush felt heavy in her hand, weighted by the significance of her choices, and yet liberating. As she painted, her mind stirred with thoughts of her parents, each stroke becoming a battleground for her anxieties and aspirations. The anger she had felt hours ago began to morph into clarity. She couldn't change the past, but she could shape the future. What had happened was a betrayal, but it had also opened a door, a moment of reckoning. She no longer wanted to be defined by the shadows of her parents' decisions. She wanted a voice of her own, one that reverberated with authenticity rather than resentment. As twilight deepened, Caitlin contemplated the implications of her confrontation. The emotional barometer of her family was shifting, and she was at the center of it. That knowledge sparked a new focus. She needed to lay out her terms not only regarding the debt but about the relationship dynamics that had taken her for granted. Her mind raced with possibilities. What if she proposed a family meeting, one dedicated to honesty and accountability? Could she articulate her feelings tactfully enough to allow for a constructive conversation? The thought brought a mix of anxiety and anticipation. The stakes felt impossibly high, this was about more than money, it was about her sense of self and future. As the remnants of the day faded into night, Caitlin put down her brush and stepped back to admire her work. The chaos on the canvas had begun to resemble something beautiful, something meaningful. She wondered if, within that same spirit of creativity, a semblance of understanding could be achieved with her parents. After all, emotions tightly woven over decades might just need a gentle unraveling. The following day, after much deliberation, she called them. The conversation felt surreal, her heart racing as she sensed their discomfort through the phone line. "Can we meet?" "I want to talk," she said, her voice steady despite the urgency within. Neither parent sounded enthusiastic, the echo of Caitlin's accusation still fresh in their minds. Yet, this was a critical moment. "I need to express what I feel, and I believe we can find a way to address this as a family," she added, summarizing her intent while trying to navigate through their trepidation. When they agreed, her heart swelled, bolstered by the idea of fostering a more transparent dialogue. Yet a tremor of doubt lingered. What if their history of avoidance and dishonesty resurfaced? What if another confrontation ended in resentment rather than understanding? Her stomach knotted at the thought. Despite her fears, she meticulously crafted her message. Caitlin reflected on the childhood memories that once illuminated her heart, now dimmed by the shadows of betrayal, but she wouldn't allow darkness to define her. She needed to focus on healing not just for herself, but for the ties that still bound them as a family. When the day of the meeting arrived, Caitlin took a moment in front of the mirror, searching for the strength that lay deep within her. She watched her reflection and reminded herself of the fierce artist who had painted her own reality the night before. Walking into the familiar, well-worn living room later that evening, Caitlin felt a mixture of nostalgia and anticipation swirling within her. Her parents sat down, the weight of unspoken words filling the silence. As she stepped forward, she recognized this was not merely a conversation, it was her first act of reclaiming agency over her life and her narrative. "Mom, Dad," she began, forcing herself to meet their gaze, "I want to talk about trust." The air thickened with the tension of unresolved conflict, and in that moment, Caitlin braced herself for the journey ahead. Would they be able to engage in this new chapter together, or would the shadows of the past loom too large? Only time would tell, as she prepared to confront this newly forged path toward healing and, perhaps, reconciliation. Caitlin took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest like a wild drum. The weight of her parents' expectations and their history loomed heavy in the room, threatening to crush her newfound resolve. She could see their expressions, her mother's guarded eyes shimmering with unshed tears and her father's furrowed brow, hinting at a mix of defensiveness and regret. "Trust," she reiterated, the word now hanging heavily between them. It felt like a thunderclap in the silence, echoing with the implications of years lost to misunderstandings. "It's what has been lacking in our family. And I've come to realize it's at the root of my discomfort with the debt situation. It's more than money, it reflects how we've interacted, how I felt unheard for far too long." Her parents shifted uncomfortably. Her mother opened her mouth, presumably to defend their past decisions, but Caitlin pressed on, her determination swelling. "I need to express how I've been affected not just by the money issues, but by everything. I felt abandoned when you went into debt. I felt like your choices overshadowed my needs. That left me questioning my worth." The vulnerability in her voice was unexpected, but it was freeing. Each word felt like another brushstroke on her canvas, revealing a picture she had been too afraid to paint before. "Caitlin," her father began, his voice trembling slightly, "we made decisions based on our circumstances, and we never wanted you to feel this way." His words ignited a flicker of anger within her. "But it happened. Regardless of your intentions, I felt trapped in this narrative where my feelings didn't matter." A pause hung in the air, filled with the weight of unexpressed emotions. "What do you think my dreams are? Did you ever ask? You assumed I'd just follow the path you had laid out for me, and when I pushed back, I felt like I was causing a rift." As tension crackled like static, she could sense her parents slowly beginning to absorb her perspective. A wall in their expressions started to show signs of crumbling, but it required a leap of faith on Caitlin's part. I just want the chance to chart my own course without the weight of your decisions pressing down on me. What I need from you both is understanding and for us to set clear boundaries going forward." Her mother's eyes softened, the hardness of previous defenses beginning to melt away. "I'm sorry if I prioritized our problems over what you needed," she said, her voice thick with genuine remorse. "You're right, we lost sight of how you must have felt." Caitlin didn't exhale just yet, a nagging doubt still edged her hopefulness. Would they feel the weight of their past actions and see her truth as valid? Or would this be just another moment that fizzled out, lost in the tension of unresolved histories? As they discussed the logistics of repaying the money, Caitlin felt resolve solidifying within her. She began to recognize the pieces of her professional aspirations that had been tangled with familial expectations. "I want to set up a system for the repayment," she proposed. "This doesn't just involve money, it's also about regaining some autonomy. Let us work together on a plan that respects my boundaries while addressing your obligations." She finished with a firm nod, her resolve echoed in her stance. Her parents nodded, intrigued and hesitant but noticeably captivated by her proposal. The conversation slowly morphed into something creative rather than confrontational, an exchange of ideas and realizations rather than blame. Yet, as they began to outline possible agreements, Caitlin couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. A newfound clarity was emerging around her dreams and ambitions as the meeting progressed. With the remnants of tension still stirring, Caitlin's heart raced with the prospect of what the future could hold. But as they finalized their discussion, a lingering thought stirred uneasily in her chest. What if this openness brought to light deeper truths they had yet to face together? Would they be ready to confront the hidden fractures of their family dynamic? Feeling both empowered and anxious, Caitlin realized she had ignited not just a conversation, but a catalyst for change. The next steps loomed ahead. Would her parents embrace the full scope of her honesty, or would they shy away from peeling back layers of pain they long tried to protect? Determined to navigate uncharted emotional territories, Caitlin braced herself for whatever revelations lay ahead, knowing she was on the brink of transformative growth. How would it feel to break all the patterns of dysfunction? Only time would tell as she prepared to challenge the inherent beliefs that had shaped her family for far too long. Caitlin sat in her room, the leftover energy of the day's discussion still coursing through her veins. The afternoon's revelations swirled in her mind, each thought coming with the weight of potential change. A sense of urgency thrummed beneath her surface. She needed to harness this clarity before it dissipated into doubt. Staring at her cluttered desk, each item symbolized a fragment of her life under her parents' influence: an old graduation cap hanging on her wall, a half-finished canvas depicting the life she wished to embrace, disorganized documents for a career path she had only hesitated to pursue. How had she allowed their expectations to define her? Determined to regain agency, Caitlin pulled out her sketchbook. As she flipped through the pages filled with dreams, ideas, and aspirations, a familiar dark shadow crept in: the nagging voice of self-doubt. But today felt different. Today, she would not shy away. The concept of creating a repayment plan had sparked a realization: managing her parents' debt felt like more than merely solving a financial issue. It could serve as the groundwork for a new family dynamic, one built on mutual respect and understanding. Imagining herself in control fueled her resolve. Picking up a pencil, she began sketching again. Each stroke became a testament to her visions: an art gallery filled with her work, a bustling cafe offering cultural experiences through food and art, a workshop for aspiring artists like herself. As her pencil moved across the page, she articulated the dreams that had long been stifled by her family's expectations. But amidst the wax and wane of optimism, a sense of urgency settled in her stomach. Could she rise above their limitations without alienating herself from them? A part of her wished for validation from her parents, even as another part cherished the idea of stepping into her own light, free from their overshadowing beliefs. She recalled her father's hesitant expression when she confronted him, and the softening of her mother's gaze when she admitted her shortcomings. Could they genuinely embrace the evolution they initiated? Or were they merely acquiescing to ease the tension of the moment? With resolve, Caitlin took a break from drawing and opened her laptop, searching for support groups and professional development workshops tailored to creatives like her. She knew it was essential to surround herself with mentors who could help nurture her growth. As search results populated the screen, her heart raced with excitement and fear. What if she reached out beyond her familial confines? What if she found belonging and inspiration elsewhere? The next few hours flew by as Caitlin applied for workshops, scoured local art classes, and even updated her portfolio with the best pieces of her work. The world outside her familial drama seemed promising, a tapestry of opportunities waiting for her to claim. Yet, the deeper she dove into her endeavors, the more she grappled with the emotional fallout occurring within her family. Conversations loomed ahead, ones she had yet to initiate. Discussions on how to rebuild trust and redefine their relationships. The unease crept back in as she pondered if her parents would buy into her vision of the future. Sinking back against her chair, Caitlin closed her eyes and took a deep breath, determination flickering brightly once more. The journey ahead would demand not just persistence but courage to face any pushback. But beneath her optimism lay an unsettling question that continued to unravel her thoughts. Would her parents see her transformation as a threat to their stability, or could they appreciate her growth, valuing her artistic independence over their expectations? As dusk settled outside, casting shadows in her room, Caitlin felt a shift within her, a provocative push toward confronting the truths ahead. Tomorrow would be crucial. She would invite her parents for another conversation, one that could either deepen their understanding or ignite further conflict. She had ignited the spark of change, but would it be enough to illuminate a path forward? Caitlin woke up to the sound of her own heartbeat, steady yet rapid, a reminder of the conversations that loomed just outside her bedroom door. The early morning light streamed through her window, illuminating the chaotic landscape of her room, each item a reminder of a life caught between her aspirations and her family's expectations. She grappled with the urgency of the day ahead, knowing it had the potential to reshape the future she envisioned. As she prepared breakfast, her mind swirled with strategies. How could she articulate her journey and her aspirations without triggering the dismissive responses she'd grown so accustomed to? Thoughts of her parents' past reactions gnawed at her, contrasting sharply with the confidence she had been trying to cultivate. Sitting at the kitchen table, she began to map out her conversation. Caitlin jotted down bullet points in her notebook, aiming to structure her thoughts clearly, express her dreams, acknowledge her parents' contributions, restructure trust, and, most importantly, share her resolve to forge an independent path. It was all about framing her transformation. Her heart raced as the clock ticked onward. Each minute felt like a countdown to a pivotal moment. Moments before she was scheduled to gather her family, she flicked through her sketchbook again, grounding herself in her visions. The art gallery, the cafe, the community of aspiring artists, it all seemed closer to reality just with the vivid sketches laid before her. She allowed a small breath of hope to escape her lips. Perhaps today was the day she could bridge the gap between her dreams and her parents' expectations. Finally, Caitlin faced her family, who were settled in the living room. The atmosphere felt charged with something unspoken: anticipation, anxiety, hope. Her parents glanced up as she entered, clearly curious about her demeanor. Caitlin took a deep breath, attempting to squash the lingering doubt that whispered she should retreat. "Can we talk?" she asked, the words inching out with surprising steadiness. Her parents nodded, the acknowledgement tentative as they gestured for her to continue. The initial moments were awkward. Caitlin felt her throat tighten as she fought to suppress the rush of emotions that had been simmering beneath the surface for so long. Diving in, she articulated her dreams: the gallery and cafe, how they represented not just business but a new perspective. Their eyes widened slightly, her father's brow furrowed as he processed this unfamiliar concept of Caitlin as an independent creator. It was a world apart from the stagnant narrative they had comfortably agreed upon. She paused, gauging their reactions. "I know managing the financial situation is important, but I need you to understand that this is my journey, too." Her mother shifted in her seat, gaze softening slightly, yet apprehension lingered in the air. "Caitlin, we just want what's best for you." The words felt both defensive and protective, and Caitlin's stomach twisted. Would they ever truly see her as an independent person? Her own dreams twinkled like distant stars, formidable yet enticing. "I know you do," she replied, her voice steadying again. "That's why I want us to talk about restructuring our relationship, not just around finances but around trust. I want to earn your support, but it means I need to take this leap alone." Silence enveloped them, a weighty pause that felt like both a reconciliation and a challenge. Caitlin could feel the doubts of her childhood lurking beneath their shocked faces, but there was also something else, a flicker of understanding, the possibility of acceptance. But just as she began to hope, a wave of uncertainty burst through her resolve. Her mother's pursed lips hinted at objections ready to spill forth. Caitlin's curiosity deepened. How far could she push this conversation without losing her parents entirely? As the tension crackled in the air, Caitlin braced herself for the inevitable reaction. Would they support her aspirations, or would they see it as a betrayal of everything they had envisioned? In that charged moment, she sensed a revelation looming, both for her and for her parents. It was a make-or-break juncture that would either solidify her independence or dissolve back into the shadows of expectation. The stakes were higher than ever as she prepared to face the emotional fallout of her family's response. Would she discover a bridge to mutual understanding, or was she inadvertently opening a chasm that could shatter their fragile dynamic? The answer danced just out of reach, promising a confrontation that would redefine everything. Caitlin watched as her mother's expression hardened, the apprehension morphing into something that felt unyielding. "Caitlin, this is all so sudden." "We thought," her father's interjection cut through the air like a knife, "we just want you to be practical." The word hung heavy, reminding Caitlin of years spent navigating the expectations of a practical life. Could this conversation shatter the once comforting but constricting walls that had cradled her childhood dreams? "I've thought about this deeply, Mom. The gallery and cafe aren't just whims, they're my purpose. I know it might not seem practical, but I believe in this vision." Caitlin's voice wavered yet maintained an underlying strength, her determination gradually surfacing through the dense fog of doubt. Her mother's eyes narrowed as she processed Caitlin's words. "What about the job you have? It's stable. Why risk everything?" Each question landed heavy, and Caitlin felt the sting of familiarity. The notion of risk had always been a dangerous endeavor in her family's eyes, prone to resounding disapproval. "It's stable, but it's not fulfilling. Every day I sit at that desk, I feel like I'm drifting further away from who I am supposed to be. I want to create, to nurture a community, not just exist in someone else's projections. This isn't just about starting a business, it's about reclaiming my own narrative." A moment of silence slinked back into the room, and Caitlin realized that her heart was racing with an unfamiliar sensation: hope. Could her mother not only hear her, but begin to understand? "Caitlin, we just worry you're setting yourself up for failure," her father said, his tone softening ever so slightly. "We don't want you to be hurt." His concern stirred something within her, an uninvited mix of reassurance and frustration. "I need to make my own mistakes for once. Isn't that how we grow? If you care about me, then you have to give me this chance." The weight of the moment pressed down on her, driving her words forward like a freight train. Her mother's gaze momentarily softened, a flicker of recognition sparking in her eyes before she veered back. "And what if this doesn't work? What then?" "I'll figure it out," Caitlin replied, determination igniting her voice. Yet uncertainty gnawed at her insides. What if it didn't work? Was she truly prepared for the repercussions of failure? It was a risk laden with consequences that extended beyond her dreams. The thought of her parents' disappointment loomed large over her aspirations, but the notion of embracing her independence was an even more formidable adversary. As their conversation spiraled outward, Caitlin navigated through a complex array of emotions: fear, disappointment, determination, and something inexplicably profound crackling in the air. It felt like walking on a tightrope suspended over her past and her potential future, each word she spoke a careful balance between conviction and vulnerability. "Mom, Dad," she implored, breaking the charged silence after what felt like an eternity. "I see this path clearly now. If you trust me, I promise I'll make choices that reflect the values you've instilled in me. Each word felt like a thread pulling taut, weaving a fragile tapestry of connection. Her father squirmed slightly in his chair, and Caitlin caught a glimpse of doubt in his eyes, a mirror of her internal struggle. However, it was her mother's response that would shape the outcome. Would her acceptance and understanding unravel the complexities behind their familial bonds, or would their connection sink further into discontent? While she felt a slight surge of optimism, Caitlin wondered if she had crossed an invisible line. Would the resolve she had mustered spark a new chapter, or would it wither under the weight of entrenched expectations? The tension in the air thickened, pregnant with possibilities yet to unveil. As the conversation drew on, she felt a myriad of emotions coursing through her, a mixture of dread and anticipation. Would they ultimately expand their understanding, embracing her desires for independence? Or was she staring into an abyss, a chasm threatening to swallow them whole? Caitlin silently held her breath, bracing for an impending revelation, one that would lay bare the truth about her family's love, their fears, and her unceasing quest for freedom. The question thinning the air was clear: how far could she lean into the ache of her dreams before it became too unbearable to endure? Caitlin felt the tension in the room thicken, constricting her throat as her parents exchanged glances that spoke volumes of their internal conflict. Did they see her newfound fervor, or only the potential for failure? The uncertainty crept back in, intertwining with the hope that had sparked moments earlier. How could she articulate her dreams while cradling their fears? Her mother broke the silence first, her voice subdued yet edged with authority. If you're serious about this, Caitlin, you need to make a plan. Not just a dream. The shift in tone felt like a quiet concession, but Caitlin longed for something more than mere compliance. Yes, a plan, Caitlin echoed, the idea illuminating pathways in her mind. I can create a timeline, outline budget needs, and explore potential locations. I've already started researching local artists and how to curate exhibits. The energy flowed from her as solutions materialized, pushing down the lingering shadows of doubt. Her father leaned forward, interest piqued. Artists, you say? You've always had a knack for finding talent. Caitlin swallowed hard, aware of the roots of her aspirations, the late-night discussions about art, the painstaking hours spent flipping through art magazines to gain a sense of what resonated with her. Exactly. I want to create a space for emerging artists. I know it's going to be tough work, but maybe, this is the foundation of everything I've been studying. My marketing background can help promote the gallery and attract patrons, Caitlin articulated, crafting a vision that felt more tangible by the second. The flickering candlelight shadows danced along the walls, echoing the shifting dynamics in the room. Something had sparked in her parents' expressions, though skepticism lingered like unfinished business. But Caitlin, her father started tentatively, the gallery isn't just a pipe dream. You need to sustain it, especially at first. Her heart tinged with recognition. He wasn't dismissing her outright but rather articulating the daunting reality that lay ahead. I'm aware of that, she replied, her voice steady. I'm willing to work hard. I can balance the gallery and a part-time job if necessary. I've already thought about offering workshops and events to generate income. With each response, Caitlin felt herself fortifying. The notion of sacrificing comfort for authenticity began to feel not just viable but exhilarating. Still, deep down, a hesitant voice whispered, would it ever be enough to silence the doubts? Her mother suddenly interjected, clearly battling her own turmoil. And what if it doesn't work out? What if you lose everything? The question, raw and real, cut across Caitlin's newfound optimism. I might. But I would rather try and fail than never try at all. I've lived too long in fear, Mom. The edge of her voice sharpened as she leaned into her convictions, the moment providing a cathartic release. Life is about risk, isn't it? The chance to find fulfillment beyond a paycheck. A beat of silence enveloped the room, a pause filled with unspoken truths. It was a moment that transformed into a battlefield not only for Caitlin's dreams but also for her parents' fears. Is there a way we can help? Her father asked softly, breaking the tension like a gentle wave. This invitation felt monumental, an acknowledgement that her family might not fully embrace her vision but were willing to consider supporting her. Caitlin didn't hesitate, leaning into the offer. You could help me design the space, make connections in the local community. I know I'll need mentors. It sounded plausible, a partnership born from love, not obligation. Yet even as she crafted this new vision, a darker thought lingered. How deep-rooted would the fear of failure cut? Was it worth risking not only her dreams but her familial bonds in pursuit of potential freedom? Each step forward felt like a dance atop a precipice, teetering and uncertain. Emboldened by her resolve, Caitlin turned her focus inward again, threading through the hopes and burdens of the moment. Amid the flicker of candle flames, she realized that the real test lay ahead: how to cultivate strength in vulnerability and channel fear into actionable change. As the weight of her decision loomed large, a single question took form in her mind: could she navigate the treacherous waters of her dreams while upholding the fragile bridge connecting her to her family? And just as she began to tailor her answer, the shrill ring of her phone shattered the tense atmosphere, drawing all eyes to its relentless noise. It was an unfamiliar number, but the premonition in Caitlin's gut warned her it could be anything but ordinary. Caitlin's heart raced as she studied the screen, the inscrutable number blinking back at her like a silent interrogation. It felt as if the phone amplified the uncertainty curling in her chest, drawing everything she had just contemplated into a sharp focus. The weight of her parents' fears collided with her aspirations, creating an unsettling juxtaposition that left her breathless. Finally, she answered, bracing herself for the unexpected. Hello? The tone was cautious, tinged with equal parts curiosity and trepidation. Caitlin? This is Jack from Heaton Arts Collective, the voice spoke, smooth yet earnest. Her mind raced at the mention of the collective. It was an organization she had admired, a community that represented everything she aspired to create, a tribe for artistic voices brimming with potential. Hi, Jack. What a surprise! She exclaimed, trying to mask her nervousness, but the buzzing anticipation was palpable. I came across your research on local artists, and I was impressed by your ambition. We're hosting a panel next month and looking for someone to help organize it. Given your background, I thought you might be a good fit. The opportunity glimmered in her periphery, vibrant and alive. I'd love to help out. It aligns perfectly with my vision, she said, enthusiasm bubbling up, overpowering the caution still echoing from her earlier conversation. But first, Jack continued, it's essential to understand this isn't just a gig, it's a significant commitment. We're here to foster growth, and I think you could really become an integral part of our community rather than just another organizer. Caitlin's breath hitched. The idea of being integral pulled at her, a deep craving for validation intertwined with want. I appreciate that. I want to be involved in something meaningful. Great. Let us set up a meeting to discuss what we would expect from you. Also, I believe there could be funding opportunities for projects you might want to pursue. It's an excellent reason for us to work together. The word funding rang like a bell in her mind. Her dream began sprouting robustly, but the potential risks followed close behind. The sum she would need to start her own gallery seemed unattainable, yet here was a route filled with artistic impact and a chance to gain experience. Sounds wonderful. When can we meet? She asked, barely able to contain her excitement. Let us aim for the end of the week. I'll send you the details via email. As she hung up, adrenaline surged through her. Here was a way in, a real-life connection forming under her fingertips. It felt like the universe responding to her hopes, yet the clarity of her ambition was muddled by the situational reality. Her family's hesitations and her vulnerabilities loomed in her mind. Caitlin paced, reconsidering the implications. This could be the push she needed, but would it stretch her flimsy bridge with her family to the breaking point? Her father's voice echoed, she needed a plan that included both her aspirations and their fears. She made a mental note, she must share this news with her parents, to solidify the newfound partnership. They rallied for her dreams at the table, so when they realized she was moving forward on so many fronts, they would have to understand. Standing before the mirror, Caitlin took stock of herself. She wasn't the timid girl who often silenced her voice to appease others. The woman reflected back, empowered yet vulnerable, was ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. As she readied herself for the conversation she would initiate with her parents, uncertainty crept back in. What if they disapproved of her involvement with the collective? What if they saw it as another distraction away from her dream? The stakes were rising as she wrestled with how to position this to them in a way that wouldn't deepen their fears. Just then, a notification lit up her phone, a reminder of the upcoming panel meeting she was supposed to prepare for. With an internal battle raging, Caitlin resolved to face her family again. There would be new hurdles ahead, and it seemed the fiery journey she had embarked upon was only just beginning. How could she turn this moment into a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block? And as these thoughts spiraled in her mind, she knew one thing for sure: she needed to forge a new conversation with her parents, one that would redefine their relationship and her future. Caitlin sat quietly in her studio, an air of determination flowing through her veins. The once chaotic room now felt like a sanctuary, a testament to her journey, a place where ideas transformed into tangible aspirations. The conversation looming with her parents pulsed in her mind, a pivotal moment that could either solidify her independence or fray the already delicate bonds that had been forged through love and betrayal. The recent call with Jack had ignited a flame of ambition. The opportunity to work with Heaton Arts Collective signified more than just a project, it was a doorway into a community of support and validation that she had long sought. Caitlin could envision her dreams becoming a vibrant reality, yet that bubbling excitement was tempered by the necessity of transparency with her family. It was time to bridge the gap between her aspirations and their fears. Gathering her courage, Caitlin reached for her phone and sent a simple text: "Can we talk tonight? I have something important to share." The weight of anticipation settled heavily in her chest as she awaited their response, each tick of the clock amplifying her resolve to initiate a new chapter. As the evening approached, Caitlin transformed her nerves into focus, pacing her studio while rehearsing the conversation. She would lead with her newfound responsibility, sharing the opportunity that had unexpected implications, not only for her career but also for the relationship she wished to build with her parents. When the familiar sounds of her parents' footsteps echoed through the hallway, Caitlin felt the knot of anxiety tighten. Her father entered first, eyes shooting with curiosity, followed closely by her mother, who wore an expression that blended apprehension and concern. Caitlin swallowed hard, forcing a smile as they settled into their usual seats. "Thank you for coming," she began, her voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of urgency. "I want to discuss my future, what's unfolding for me and how it involves all of us." Interest flickered in her father's eyes while her mother remained cautiously attentive. Caitlin took a deep breath, allowing the words to flow. "I've accepted an opportunity with Heaton Arts Collective to help organize a panel. It's aligned with everything I've been working toward, and it could lead to funding for my dreams of creating an art gallery and cafe." Silence enveloped the room, a palpable pause filled with uncertainty. It was her mother who broke the stillness. "And what does that mean for, well, everything else?" Caitlin understood the question's weight. It was a reflection of the years spent prioritizing stability over passion. "It means I'm taking steps to carve out my own path, but I need your support more than ever. This opportunity is not just about a job, it's a chance to reclaim my identity." Her father leaned forward, a mix of concern and curiosity etched on his features. "Caitlin, we worry. These decisions come with risks. Are you truly prepared for that?" "I am," she asserted, her voice unwavering. "I know that failure is a possibility, but I'm ready to take that leap rather than remain trapped in a life built on fears." Each word resonated with clarity, channeling the struggles she had faced in recent months. Her mother's brow furrowed as she contemplated Caitlin's passion. "But what if this doesn't work? What if you find yourself in deeper trouble?" With a glimmer of confidence, Caitlin met her mother's gaze, a new strength radiating from her. "I'll figure it out." Failure teaches resilience. "I won't let uncertainty dictate my choices anymore. This is my chance to rise, to create something meaningful." The initial tension began to shift as her parents absorbed her determination. Caitlin could feel the walls of misunderstanding slowly eroding. It was time for transformation not just in her career, but within the family structure as well. "Can we help you?" Her father's voice softened, infused with a genuine desire to support her vision. Warmth blossomed in Caitlin's chest, an affirmation that their relationship was at a turning point. "Yes, I would appreciate that. I need you to help me brainstorm ideas, even connect me with artists." A flicker of hope danced in her heart. A partnership could emerge from a shared willingness to evolve. Her mother nodded slowly, seeming to embody the realization of Caitlin's potential. "We can work together. If it truly makes you happy, we want to be part of it." As they delved into a discussion about practical steps, a timeline, budget, and potential outreach strategies, the air filled with optimism, resonating with the aspirations Caitlin had dreamt of for so long. She began sketching plans and ideas on the notepad, a tangible representation of renewed familial connections forged through trust and vulnerability. With every shared idea, Caitlin felt an authentic bond forming, an unspoken pact to support each other in their respective journeys. That conversation marked a definitive turning point. The fear that had once overshadowed her dreams faded into the background, replaced by a luminous understanding that her path to independence didn't mean severing family ties but rather redefining them. As the night drew to a close, Caitlin sat back, looking at her parents with recognition in her eyes. In their willingness to forge an authentic connection, they had taken the first steps toward healing a fractured trust. No longer was she trapped, she was free to create her narrative while entwining it within the tapestry of their family story. In this moment of shared hope, Caitlin had not only reclaimed her dreams but had also inaugurated a new chapter, a chapter poised for success built on shared aspirations and authentic relationships. This was her moment. She had achieved clarity, connection, and empowerment. Her transformation was definitive. The horizon now shimmered with possibilities, inviting her forward into the bright terrain of a promising future. Now, right now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We can't do it without you. Comment your reactions and theories about this resolution. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to join this journey of transformation. You need to support the channel and be part of changing lives through stories of overcoming challenges.